Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. Mega superstar podcast host Joe Rogan made the statement in an interview that he does not want former President Donald Trump on his show, or rather, he does not want to interview him. He's had multiple opportunities to interview him on his podcast and talk with him, but he has refused to do so. He says he does not in any way want to help former President Donald Trump. Now, that may sound like some harsh words, but when I read this very short article in reference to this interview that he had with this individual, that Joe Rogan had with this individual, you're going to find out really what he's all about. Because, look, I'm going to be frank with you. All I know about Joe Rogan is that he was the host of the former reality show. What was it? Fear Factor. That's all I know about him. I've never listened to any of his podcasts at length. Every night, I mean, sometimes I would go to some of his podcasts would end up on my YouTube channel, and I'm on my YouTube, page, and I'd click on to it and listen to a few, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of it. But I really wasn't into his podcast. I just really wasn't into it. Not because I didn't like him, but I just wasn't really into that, So I don't know a whole lot about him. I know he did get a lot of slack, I think, on Spotify. Is that correct me in the comment box if I'm wrong? Spotify, he got a lot of slack from celebrities that wanted him off because he was siding with conservatives. But whatever the case may be, I was never into his podcast or anything. But we're going to get into this article, and then I'm going to give you my commentary on what I believe he means by all of this. Joe Rogan doesn't want former President Donald Trump as a guest on his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, saying, "I don't want to help him." In a recent interview on the Lex Fridman podcast, Rogan revealed that he has had the opportunity to interview Trump a number of times, but has always turned down the chance. Joe Rogan conceded that Trump has a good chance of winning back the presidency in 2024 because President Joe Biden is essentially senile. And so that's basically his argument. Joe Rogan's argument is that the reason why he believes that Trump will basically win back the presidency in 2024 is because of the fact that Joe Biden is just senile. The man doesn't know where he's at. He didn't mention so much about policies, But that's another story, and I might get into that a little later. He says, well, he's running against a dead man, Rogan said when asked about Trump's chances. Biden shakes hands. This is funny right here. Biden shakes hands with people that aren't even there when he gets off stage. I think he's seeing ghosts. He said Biden's recent appearance on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live was an embarrassment. He was just rambling, Rogan said. If he was anyone else, if he was a Republican, if that was Donald Trump doing that, every effing talk show would be screaming for him to be off the air. Now, based on what he's saying here, I don't want to get too far ahead of my commentary, but based on what Joe Rogan is saying here, this when he says if he was anyone else, if he was a Republican, this could maybe suggest that Joe Rogan is either moderate, because I don't know what his political position is. I was hearing from other YouTubers that he's not a conservative. He's not a Republican or conservative, but he tends to lean more to the left. But it seems to me, based on what he's saying here, that even if he tends to lean more to the left, it would be more or less, he's more a center to me. Because he seems to be someone who, even if he's more to the left, he's a sensible person. He sees factual data and he sizes up factual data. He doesn't go by mere emotions. He doesn't go by mere rage and anger. If the other side is saying something that he doesn't like, he calls them a coons and hounds and all this other foolishness that the liberals tend to want to do when a conservative says something that they don't like. They got to start calling them names and instead of giving a rational argument. But that's the way they are. And when I say the left, I'm talking about in academia and politicians, okay? Joe Rogan then quickly denied that he is backing Trump. Now check this out. He says, by the way, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once. I've said no every time, he said. I don't want to help him, Rogan added. I'm not interested in helping him. Host Lex Friedman said, the night is still young. We'll see. I think you'll have him on. And that's it. That's the end of that article right there. It's a pretty short article. And you know what? I agree. I agree with that host. I agree. I agree. He's probably going to have Trump on his show. And but here's the thing, though. I think too that and this is just my opinion now, that Joe Rogan is saying these things about I've had opportunities to have Trump on my show, and I'll never have him on my show. I think, in my opinion, that Joe Rogan is saying this is because he doesn't want to deal with the backlash of so many anti-Trumpers out there. I mean, he already had to deal with celebrities and former ancient singers. I forget that singer's name, that opposed him, you know, and got angry with him and wanted him to be taken off of Spotify or whatever. And there was a lot of hoopla about that and a lot of struggling about that. And I believe, in my personal opinion, that Joe Rogan made that statement then and in the past about having opportunities to have former President Donald Trump on his show to interview. He rejected all that because he didn't want, I don't think then and now he wants to deal with the verbal and emotional persecution that may come along with that. He's dealt with it enough. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore. But on the other hand, as the interviewer said, time is still young. I think you'll have him on. Is that if Joe Rogan does have former President Donald Trump on his show as an interview, I believe the ratings are going to go up astronomically. I mean, boom. There's going to be, in my opinion, more people going to watch him than ever before because regardless of what you think about Trump or how you feel about Trump, he's unpredictable. You know that. Everybody knows Trump is unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to say. He's exciting. He's way more exciting than that zombie we got in the White House now. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. Anybody that's supporting Joe Biden, you know I'm telling the truth. The man can barely talk. He's boring. But regardless of what you feel about Donald Trump, he's exciting. The mainstream media loves to talk about him because that's how their ratings go up. That's the only thing they can talk about. You know, I mean, there may be other nefarious reasons to get everyone's attention distracted off of the real issues of our country, but they ain't talking about Joe Biden that much. But they love to talk about former President Trump. Why? Because they get rating. It's exciting. It's exciting to hear what Donald Trump is going to say. It's exciting. You don't know what he's going to say. So if Joe Rogan decides to have Trump on his show to interview him, I believe his ratings are going to go up big time. And he may suffer some kickback, but I highly doubt that if he's still on Spotify or whatever he's on, that they're going to take him off. They didn't take him off then. They certainly not going to take him off, in my opinion, if he lets Donald Trump come on there. Because the ratings are going to be so high, they would be dumb as a box of rocks to take him off of the show. Oh, you interviewing Donald Trump? We're not going to have. Man, it's about money. Money is the great equalizer. Money is the great man. Money unites the worst enemies and brings them together. You can still hate that person. That person can still hate you. But when you put that money, and I mean some serious money, when you put that money in the center, that money brings everybody together, man. It brings people together. So I highly doubt that if he brings Donald Trump on that show, that the Spotify, whoever, is going to get rid of him. They didn't get rid of him before. They're not going to do it now if he decides to bring Donald Trump on his show and interview him. His ratings are going to go up, and their ratings are going to go. And then the money, the attention that they're going to get is going to be astronomical. So, but at any rate, I believe that he's probably more or less in the middle. That Joe Rogan has been in the middle. He's not so far left that he's crazy, but he's not conservative, more than likely. You know, he's probably in the middle. That he hears things that and he interviews people that make you think. That's what I understand about his podcast and what I've heard, and the little bit of clips that I have seen. He interviews people who make you think, and he interviews people whose narratives go against the mainstream narrative that's proposed by politicians and the mainstream media. His words go against him. It's not their words, rather, go against the mainstream narrative. It's not that what these people that he's interviewing are saying anything wrong. Is that they're challenging the mainstream narrative. And the mainstream narrative doesn't want to be challenged. The establishment doesn't want to be challenged. The globalists don't want you to challenge their narrative. They don't want you to challenge their agenda, their Marxist, destructive agenda. They don't want that to be challenged, because when you challenge it with logic and facts, when you challenge their narrative, it makes people see things from a different perspective, and they don't want you to see things from a different perspective. They want to keep us in the matrix. They want to keep us plugged in with that little thing in the back of our head, plugged into the matrix, into our own little world where we're not thinking about anything. We're simply feeling, and it just make me feel good and I'm cool. That's what they want. But hey, I believe eventually he's going to have Donald Trump on his, just like that the guy that was interviewing him. I believe eventually he's going to have Donald Trump on his podcast. And when he do, the ratings are going to jump up big time. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this video. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative.